Hey, welcome to the night before the exam. This will answer some of your questions that you might have. You might even know the answer to already, but you just want to clarify, just to put your mind at rest before you go to bed, ready for that exam tomorrow. And this is all about paper 2. As always, massive thank you for watching. If you find value in this, please click that like button. If you have got any questions, you stick them in the comments below. And of course, subscribe. So let's just go through some questions that you might have for paper 2. So can you clarify what is on paper 2? Yes, of course I can. So paper 2 is split into section A and section B, and these is your topics paper. And what you'll do is answer one topic from section A and one topic from section B. So for example, if you study, for example, family, you would use that from section A, and if you did something like beliefs, that would be from section B. And it's split into 3 questions in each section, a 10 mark with an outline and explain, 10 mark apply from the item, and a 20 mark. And each section will look the same and just spend the same amount of time on them. So that leads me to my next question. How much time should I be spending on each question? Okay, so for a 10 mark, you should be spending 15 minutes on it, okay? And that applies to both the outline and explain and also the apply from the item. And the 20 mark, you're going to double that and you're going to spend 30 minutes. So all in all, section A, you will be spending 1 hour. And on section B, you'll also be spending 1 hour. Now, what I really want to point out to you is, and this was on the examiner report from last year, was that a lot of students last year were spending an awful lot of time on section A and not leaving enough time for section B. And those final 20 markers on section B were they haven't spent enough time answering those questions. So please make sure that you are strict with your times. Once you've done 15 minutes, move on, and you can always go back to earlier questions if you need to. On the 10 mark with an item, can you use the item anywhere in my answer? Well, yes, you can. The instruction is in applying material from the item. So if you put the item at the bottom or if you put it at the top, as long as it's in your answer and you have applied material from it, that will get you the marks. Now, what I would suggest is when you are using the item, really look for the hooks very carefully, the hooks that will help you answer the question, and then apply knowledge that match that hook. Okay, and apply that knowledge and then look for the other hook that will be in the question, because you will need to show that you can apply it or link it back to the question as well if you want to be moving up the mark schemes. Now remember, on a 10 mark, you need to be doing that twice, so there will be more than one hook in the item for you to apply your knowledge from. So read it really carefully, that item. Read it more than once. Highlight, underline, circle it, just so you are getting the correct hooks, and then think carefully about what knowledge are you wanting to apply to it. Do I need to explicitly quote the item? Now, I would suggest that if you want to make it easy for the examiner to give you marks, I would make it really obvious that you've used the item. You don't want to make the examiner work, so I would either put it in quotation marks or even use the word according to the item. And it's a really good practice to signpost whenever you are going to do a skill like that, and it just really makes it easier for the examiner to give you those marks. What do I have to do on the outline and explain? So this is going to be the first 10 marker in each of the sections that you're going to be answering. And the main aim of this 10 marker is for you to make a connection between 2 areas of the specification. So as you read the question carefully, make sure you identify what are the 2 parts of the specification that the examiner is expecting you to show knowledge of, and can you show how one has an effect on the other. And make sure that it is logical, and make sure that you are using those connectives, and use the wording from the question, link back to it as well. But that's really what you are going to have to do. Are there any evaluation marks for the 10 mark outline and explain? No, there are no evaluation marks on a 10 mark outline and explain. Now, if there is an item, yes, there is. You can get evaluation marks, but if there isn't, On that first 10 mark outline and explain, there is no evaluation marks. So how do I get AO3 on the outline and explain? You will get it through analysis. Okay, so when you are looking at how one area of the spec impacts another area, you are breaking that down into stages or steps, how one impacts something else. That is basic analysis. So just by doing that, you will be getting some analysis marks. To get the higher analysis marks, you will need to be going further to say, okay, so what extent or how significant is this effect that you have just talked about? Is it significant? Does it have a knock-on effect to other factors or other reasons or whatever you're being asked to make a link between the two? So try and look at it from a different angle. I know that some teachers use cages. So if we look at it from a class aspect or from different ages or from gender or ethnicity or whatever, sexuality, does the same explanation still apply or does it change slightly? So you get AO3 from the analysis on a 10 mark outline and explain. Moving on to the longer answer, this is a 20 marker. So should I include a plan for the essay question? I suggest that you do. I suggest that you read through the item, read through the question, make underlines, highlight and annotate, and read through it at least 3 times. So then you really fully understand what the question is asking you. And a brief plan is absolutely perfect, especially on an essay question, because it's going to ask you for a viewpoint. So have you got evidence for that viewpoint? But also, do you have the opposing views or the criticisms or the evaluation that you could be using as well? And sometimes you need to write those down in a brief plan, so at least then you can organise your thoughts so your answer will logically flow, and that is really what you're looking for on this one. So in answer to the question, yes, I recommend that you should be planning the essay questions. There is enough time if you stick to your 15 minutes on the 10 markers and then the 30 marker, 30 minutes for a 20 marker, spending 2 or 3 minutes doing a brief plan is time well spent. If I cannot think of an evaluation point, what should I do? Well, go back to your theory. What would feminists say? What would Marxists say? Or is whatever argument relevant in today's society in a postmodern world? So if it's asking you about gender roles, for example, well, is it relevant in today's postmodern society where there is diversity of family types, the instrumental and expressive roles or whatever? So you can always comment on what different sociologists would think about it. Okay. So in clarification, apply your theory. What was asked on this year's or last year's GCSE or AS papers mean it won't be asked on A-level. These are totally different exams, and there is no correlation between what was asked on an AS paper won't be asked again. Okay, it's really hard to predict what is going to be asked on these questions. It is a good idea to have a look at what has been asked. It is quite useful to see how they've asked questions, because that will allow you to prepare for these A-levels in the best possible way. But just because something was asked on last year's AS paper does not mean it will not be asked on the A-level paper. Do I have to remember every sociologist's name? It's not always about the names. What I would advise you to do, and think about this with your answers, do you have conceptually detailed or conceptually rich answers? Can you explain a process, or can you, I don't want to use the word describe, can you analyse or break it down and use the right keywords, the right terms, and apply theory when needed? It's not always about the name. Names add to your answer, of course it does. The more you know, the better your answer looks, but it's not always about the names. It's about knowing the explanations that is being asked for in the question. So last 24 hours before the exam, some people like to put in a big extra last burst of study, some prefer to relax. You need to find out what works for you. Make sure you get a good rest. I'm just looking at the time, it's 10 p.m. now. So, please make sure that you are being rested for tomorrow's exam. It is in the afternoon, and that's why I'm probably a bit late recording this video. Follow your usual morning routine, don't let yourself get flustered, and any final advice, I can just can't say it again. Make sure you're getting a good night's sleep, relax, wake up in good time, have a good cheeky breakfast, get your mum or your dad or whoever you live with to make your favourite, get yourself in a really good place, in a really good mindset. And I want you to strut into that exam owning this. Okay, this is your exam, this is your time to shine, guys, and you really go to town on it. Remember, the exam hall is often cold, so don't dress for the weather you want. Dress for the climate that you're going to get. Okay, make sure that you're comfortable. Thinking about the questions, rereading the question a few times will also help clarify what the question's asking. And they're just things off the top of my head that are jumping out at me. But as always, massive thank you for watching. And I just want to send you good luck vibes through the computer for tomorrow's exam paper. If you've got any questions, pop them below. I'll try and answer some. But I'm a teacher as well. I've got my own students who are in exactly the same boat as you guys. They are ready for this exam tomorrow afternoon, but I will try and help as many people out as possible. So massive thank you for watching. Have a great night, and I shall see you again soon. Bye bye.